Is this right here? I'm sorry, what was that? Oh no, wait, I can't hear you. I didn't know that was a thing until right now. What a great investment. I don't dust, I just wear dusters. Your 20s, what a kettle of chaos. What a soup of sporadic emotions, confusing decisions, things to do, no one to be. I have been in my 20s, I've just left them actually. Goodbye, goodbye forever. But during that time, I did manage to screw up a lot of things, but I also started to work it out towards the end. So I've made this whole series called the 20s Toolkit, talking about the things I've learned or the things I wish I'd known, and this video is going to be talking about spending. Now I did a video during my Vlogmas, my No More Miserymas series in December, talking about the things I really regretted buying in my 20s, because in your 20s money is scarce, wisdom is even more scarce, and there's so many things that I really wish I hadn't handed over my limited and hard-earned cash. But it's fine. It's fine, I'm over it. And I'm here to bring you part 2, requested by somebody in the comments, which I thought was a really good question. What do you not regret buying? Like, what are things you're really glad you bought? And this script, this list of things did not come to me as readily as the regrets. I think maybe just as humans we're programmed to focus on the negatives because that's how we've survived this long on this strange planet without any fur or real claws or teeth, so makes sense. But also just because, like, you don't notice the things that you've done right or the things that really seamlessly work into your life as much as the stuff that you look at every day and are like, why? Why did I do that? So it was a hard list to make, but I've made it, and I want to share with you those little things that I bought in my 20s that have carried me through to my 30s, and I'm so glad that I bought them. These are just mine. They're not going to be applicable to everybody, but I hope they at least get the cogs whirring, make you think about the things that you might want to buy or the things that you have bought and want to just pat yourself on the back for and be like, good job, that was one of your rare but great decisions. But before we get into the list, we need to talk about the sponsor of this video, and that is you. Yeah, not a real sponsorship, but I just wanted to say thank you to the people that have really supported the channel so far this millennia, particularly to the Gumption Club. They are the people that tip me per video to make sure these videos keep happening. Obviously I want to give as much as what I make away for free to everybody, and that only works if some people tip me for the stuff, and the people in the Gumption Club are bloody brilliant, and they also helped fund the video that I did on Friday, No Books on a Dead Planet. It's the first in the series. Somebody is in trouble. I hope you're okay, sir. Sirens for days. The Gumption Club, my Patreon supporters, are the reason I can take chances and make weird long videos about topics that people feel weird and nervous about. So thank you so much to them for supporting, and if you do want to watch that video, it is up here. It's also the reason that you don't see that many sponsorships on the channel. I get to say no to like 90% of the sponsors because I honestly think that 90% of them are probably going to waste your time and money, which is very important, especially in your 20s. So the reason that you don't see that many on my channel, I'm very strict about who I let through and I have to really love them, is because of them. So that is my little spiel, my little love letter to you. If you do want to join the Gumption Club, it's just $1 per thing that I make, and you can cap it per month, so you just pay $1 a month if you really want. You get to join the Facebook group. We have a secret Facebook group where we chat every single day, and I also do a weekly podcast that you can plug into your podcast apps and listen to as you wish. Now let us get into the list. I feel like Bridget Jones having ate a flamingo today, so that's the vibe that we're going for. Number 1, noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones. Now nobody can say that I haven't used these. They're probably coming to the end of their life. I think I've had them for 5 years. But as somebody who, against all of their will and nature, had to work in an open plan office for most of their 20s, noise cancelling headphones are the shit. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh no, wait, I can't hear you. I'm a very sensitive soul, though I seem thick-skinned, and it hurt when my friends never stood. And these really helped me with my focus, with my calmness, if there was any, it was due to these. And they were also really helpful in London when I was on the tube. They really made me begin to forget the fact that I was in the armpit of a complete stranger at 8:45 in the morning, squished into a tiny little square, hurtling through the underground. They've also made all of my chores really much more pleasurable because they're Bluetooth and they're wireless. I can just wander around and do all of my wiping and dusting. I don't dust, I just wear dusters. I don't dust. They help me do all of my sorting out and my cleaning while listening to a great book, and that really motivates me to actually get stuff done. So shout out to these, a very simple purchase but a good one. And if anyone can recommend a more sustainable brand that I should buy after these conk out, because they really are at the end of their life, then let me know. I'm thinking about the House of Marley ones. I don't know. The second one is something I honestly didn't buy, but I inherited from an old housemate, so thank you, Michael. This is a massive saucepan. Yes, that's cool, most people have that. But do you have one with a colander in the lid? I like to minimize washing up. Colanders are very hard to clean and I use them almost every day. But with a lid that's a colander, you can cook your pasta and then just put the lid on so it's secure, and then just like tip your water out into the sink and you're done. It's way less washing up, so much easier. I don't know why every pan doesn't have this, but when I realised it was a thing, I am so glad that I inherited it. Bringing a new meaning to pansexual, am I right? Another cooking related thing, because I'm just a cock at cooking. Like I'm not, it's not good. But I'm trying, as you've probably seen in videos, I am trying. And two of the discoveries that I made were these two spices in particular, but just generally spices. Something that I was kind of like, look, you learn to cook baked beans, then you vaguely learn to cook meals, and then when you get to an advanced level, you get a spice rack. No, 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 no. You start with a spice rack and work your way up, especially when you have to buy like cheap food or very basic food, or you don't have much time to cook. Popping some spices in actually makes cheap food taste kind of expensive. Particularly spices like this that are mixes of things. So this one is allspice ground. It's got loads of different spices in it, so you don't need to even mix them together. It makes any cake taste like Christmas. It makes any cookies taste very complex, and I'm in love with the allspice. And this is smoked paprika powder, which I add to like literally every single bolognese or anything I do. It's in my opinion superior to just paprika powder on its own, like smoked paprika. It tastes really good, especially if you're trying to give up meat but you want that like smoked thing. Mixed up spices, mixed herbs will see you straight. Like I don't even really see that anyway. If you're scared of having a spice rack or scared of learning about how spices work, getting those combined spices is a game changer and super cheap compared to like, you know, noise cancelling headphones. Another thing I'm really, really glad that I bought in my 20s is right here. Scared, did I? It's my thermal vest. I had also some long johns that I bought when I used to work at Coventry Cathedral as like a receptionist. And it was freezing. I don't know if you've ever been into a cathedral, but maybe you haven't worked in a cathedral from 9 till 5 every single day without the heating on, because there's not enough visitors to put the heating on. It's awful, but it made me discover thermals, and I've basically lived in them ever since. These are the ones when I bought when I was 20 years old, and I am now 31. So they have seen me well. And something that I'm frankly pissed off that I didn't learn until my 30s was how warm actual 100% wool jumpers are. They're expensive, but you can get them secondhand, and the difference between like a polyester jumper and a wool jumper is like the difference between life and death, especially if you're living in rented accommodation that is awfully insulated and very expensive, especially during the energy crisis. Fuck that. It's also an item that you can probably ask for a birthday or Christmas, because it's something that old people seem to appreciate and know the value of. But yeah, knowing that you're probably going to be renting or in not ideal accommodation all of the time, investing in undergarments and layers that are genuinely scientifically gonna keep you warmer. On the topic of renting, blankets and cushions. Simple, I know, but in my things I regret buying in my 20s video, I talked about the regret of like buying some furniture that I then had to move around, and a big mattress, and things that were really, really hard to move if you can't afford or don't want a moving van. And I probably bought them out of this real pining to feel like I was at home, even though I wasn't. But what I have really appreciated is these kind of objects that have followed me through loads of my houses. This was £1 from a charity shop. This was a gift from a friend, but they're in really bright colours. They're really familiar to me. They're really homely. And as soon as I put them on whatever sofa I had, I really felt like it was probably is my sofa. What a great investment. This is something I didn't splurge on until my 30s, but I'm kicking myself that I didn't save up and do it sooner. Prescription sunglasses. Things like your teeth, your ears, your eyes, those are medical needs, and sometimes I used to view them as luxuries. Because I got my glasses and all of my eye care on the NHS until I was 18, when I actually had to start paying for it, I couldn't believe the prices, and I think that kind of made me feel like it was a splurge to like buy glasses that were good for me. And because I wasn't somebody that went on loads of like big, bright, sunny, exotic holidays, I was much more of a like camping in Scotland kind of person. I thought sunglasses weren't important, but I realised that my eyes are incredibly sensitive to the light. I really hate like any kind of bright lights or like even little pinpricky lights that are in my eyes, hate it. I realised that was the reason for a lot of my headaches, and as soon as I got prescription sunglasses, my summer headaches like went away, and I couldn't believe it. I used to sometimes, if I needed sunglasses, I'd wear contact lenses and then put glasses over them, but my contacts dry out quite fast and contacts are expensive, so I didn't do it that much. I just kind of squinted and hoped for the best. But my summers went from looking like this to looking like this, and I can't believe the difference. These are the ones that like change when you go indoors and outdoors. These are my normal glasses. I bought them identical to my normal glasses, but with prescription sunglasses lenses. I realised that they are like a medical thing for me. Like, I'm just in pain if I don't have them, and they should be available on the NHS because what the hell. But anyway, jubilated I got those in the end. Can't believe the difference. A menstrual cup. Not going to go into this because I have a whole video on it up here, but what felt like a really big price at the time, I think I was 25 when I got a menstrual cup, really has paid off, and I've saved so much time and so much pain and worry in the meantime. So there's a video about that up here. Now I think there's like a weird skewed thing in society that's normalized in that it's kind of okay in some respects to like spend a lot of money on a dress that you're going to wear to a wedding or like a graduation gown, but these are one-off kind of things, and I think now I look back on my 20s that I wish I'd spent more on the things that I actually use every day and I see every day. This is just an example, but nice mugs. This wasn't expensive. This was like £6. I bought it in Iceland. I thought it was completely handcrafted and probably like 8 of a kind when I bought it from the gift shop, but have since had loads of comments from people when I featured this in videos being like, I also have that mug. I have that mug. Everyone has this mug. It's fine. But a mug that just makes you happy, that you can hold and it makes you feel comforted, is just such a nice object, and I'm so glad that I have carried these kind of mugs through with me, because there's just simple little delight in my day. And maybe you're not somebody who gets happy about mugs, but think about other tactile objects that you interact with every day. If you can make them something that you really love and that just spark a bit of joy, why not? Why not? Speaking of everyday objects, I should have featured in my things I regret buying handbags. I had this idea that I was like becoming a woman, so I needed a handbag, and they never worked for me. I hated them, especially when I was on the tube. I always felt somebody had their hand in it. It just didn't really feel very me, to be honest. They're all very practical. And what I've realised is that I'm a rucksack girl, okay? And even if I am a 30-year-old woman, if I'm a 40 or a 50-year-old, I'm gonna have a rucksack. I'm not gonna have a handbag. This is just who I am. This isn't an age-specific thing. So I have 2 rucksacks that I adore, and I don't regret any of the money that I handed over for them. They're both secondhand actually. They're both from Depop. This one is a Doc Martens rucksack. Do you know Doc Martens made rucksacks? I didn't, but they last forever. I must have got this about 4 or 5 years ago, and because it's kind of like shiny and really durable, I still feel like I can go to fancy meetings or interviews with it, even though I'm like still a kid wearing a rucksack, you know. But it really takes the weight off my back, and it fits my laptop in, it fits everything, and I also use it as a weekend bag when I'm going away, and I love it. However, during the pancetta, didn't need to carry a laptop around, didn't need to go to any fancy meetings, probably ever again. So I grabbed this secondhand Fjallraven rucksack from Depop that looks, it's seen better days. Somebody put it through the wash on a hot wash, but it was fine. It made it quite cheap for me. I hate that they're right about these rucksacks because everybody freaking has one, and I was always like side-eyeing them, you know, but they're actually really comfy. They genuinely take the weight off your back, and they genuinely last forever. Like, this has taken such a battering. I was bringing home like 20-30 cans of food in this during the first few weeks of the lockdown, and it doesn't budge. Like, I've carried like 10 library books home in this, and it's completely indestructible, so very jazzed on that. But you're gonna have to get those brands, and you know, if you can get them secondhand, brilliant. But a bag that works for you, especially a rucksack, I think will last you through and save you a lot of money in fast fashion bags that just break down and disintegrate after like a year of use. A rail card, for which I am now deprived, but loved the rail card. It made me travel to loads of different places. It made me use public transport more than begging a lift or using a car. And when I had it, it was great. In my country, I am no longer eligible for it because I am elderly, but at the time I think that was one of my best purchases of the year. An e-reader, there's a video up here about why I regret buying a Kindle. I now have a Kobo, again, that I got from Depop. You can get anything on Depop, just saying. I got this for 30 quid off Depop, and it's seen me through very, very well. What I like about e-readers is that you can read your PDFs for uni on them. I did that a lot. When you're going away and you're not sure if there's going to be a moment when you're bored, you can carry like 20 books and you don't have to have that dilemma of like, how many books should I bring on holiday? And it's also just kept me sane during the numerous 10-hour train delays I experienced during trying to travel between Wales and Birmingham during my university experience. And it's just been so great. And also all the nights that I haven't been able to sleep on, but I don't want to turn the light on because I don't want to wake up Craig, I've like had this because it's got a little light in it, and it's just been my constant companion. And while I'm more of a physical books person, I think that an e-reader is such an amazing investment, and it also cuts down on how many books you physically buy if you're not sure about them. So it's a win all round for me. And then finally, my tattoos. Yes, even this one, which I got in Reno, and I regret nothing. I have a video all about why I don't regret my tattoos, so that's up here. Now, because I'm not the fountain of all wisdom, I know, surprising, I also asked some of the members of the Gumption Club to tell me theirs because I was nosy and I wanted to hear. Meg said, a heated clothes dryer. Rented houses rarely have tumble dryers, so this has been a game changer. I didn't know that was a thing until right now. So that was a shock for me, and I definitely had problems with that renting, so that's cool. Elizabeth says basic tools, so like hammer, nails, stuff like that. Yana said a good thermos. Laura, a divorce. An investment in yourself, Laura. As somebody who's known people who've been divorced during their 20s, I would say that is an incredible investment. Endorsed wholeheartedly. Faye said festival tickets, gig tickets and trips. I found it so much harder to justify and go to them in my 30s, so it was great to do it in my 20s. Lena said, great name, very boring but revolutionary. One was an external hard drive to properly back up all my files, my memories and my photos, etc. You know you're a real adult when you actually begin backing up your files regularly. Jenny said theatre tickets. I spent my uni days going to every show I could with all the young person discounts and learnt so much about the world and the people in it. Somebody, I can't find their comment now, said about, because one of my regrets was buying equipment for hobbies that I thought in my head I'd carry on forever, and I didn't. And this person suggested, instead of buying equipment for the hobbies you think that you'll do, go and spend money on a class or access to that thing with somebody who's instructing you, because then you work out whether you actually need the equipment for it, and it's cool to pay other people to teach you how to do stuff so you don't get disillusioned and give up straight away, which I thought was really, really clever and such a good point. And then the kind of recurring themes throughout everybody's replies were Doc Martens. A lot of people were really glad they invested in Doc Martens and stopped buying like loads of shoes every season. Noise cancelling headphones, again, featured very heavily. A slow cooker, a rice cooker or a pressure cooker. I don't use any of those, but apparently other people are very excited to have had those. Mattresses or mattress toppers. I will actually vouch for the mattress topper. I had one for a long time and it made all of my rented mattresses seem less minging. Menstrual cups featured heavily again, and dehumidifiers for renters so that you can dry your clothes without rotting your walls. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear what you do not regret buying in the comments below. Obviously everything ideally would be for free. We'd live in a socialist utopia where we could all share and none of us had to participate in capitalism, but we are going to have to buy some stuff, you know. Some stuff needs to be in our lives, and the resources that we do have, it's important that we spend it wisely. So thank you so much for joining in the conversation in advance below. If you like this video, I have a sneaky suspicion you'll like these videos. Do subscribe because I would like to see you here again. I upload every other Monday and every Friday, so I'll see you in the next one. Frog Snog out.